A severe injury to a volunteer at Big Cat Rescue here in Tampa. A woman's arm nearly ripped off while feeding a tiger this morning at the reserve made famous by the Netflix hit documentary series Tiger King. We have the latest from Carole Baskin in moments ago, breaking it down here for you live on WFLA Now. Hey there, folks. JB Buono here with you live in the WFLA Now Stream Center. You can use hashtag HeyJB to interact with us here in the Facebook Live comment section. We'll be looking for your comments here as we have just gotten an email moments ago from Carole Baskin, who, if you watch the Netflix hit documentary series Tiger King, you recognize that name. She is the owner of Big Cat Rescue right here in Hillsborough County in Tampa, Florida. So we're engaging an international audience as we understand it. We're streaming across the country for our parent company here. So for those of you who have not been familiar with this story as of this morning, we did hear that a volunteer was injured this morning at Big Cat Rescue right here in Tampa Bay. Let's get to the latest here from Carole Baskin, who has confirmed that the volunteer's arm was nearly torn off. This is the remarks, the statement that we just got moments ago from Carole Baskin. I'll read, it's pretty lengthy, but I'll read it here as follows. This morning during feeding, Candy Cowser, who you see here on the right side of your screen here, folks, who has been a volunteer at Big Cat Rescue for 5 years and a green level keeper for almost 3 years, was feeding Kimba Tiger. She saw he was locked in a section that was away from where he was usually fed and radioed the coordinator to find out why. Kimba had been locked away from that section for several days as cameras were being installed there. She opened a guillotine tunnel door at one end of the tunnel, and when she went to raise the second door, she saw it was clipped shut. This is our universal signal not to open a gate without the coordinator coming to assist, but Candy said she just wasn't thinking, and when she reached to unclip it, that was when she reached to unclip it, excuse me. It is against our protocols for anyone to stick any part of their body into a cage with a cat in it. Kimba grabbed her arm and nearly tore it off at the shoulder. Another volunteer hearing the commotion and coming running. Kimba dropped his grip as Candy fell away from the side of the tunnel. Another volunteer nurse held off the artery under Candy's armpit to stop the bleeding. And then a additional volunteer, now all convening here, who had pulled Candy to safety, used his belt as a tourniquet as others called for an ambulance. The volunteer packed her arm in ice packs, and then the ambulance arrived within 15 to 20 minutes of the accident. So this here is Candy Cowser. This is not the tiger here in question, of course. The tiger is not pictured here. These are the two pictures that we had sent to us here at WFLA by Carole Baskin. Again, if you want to read more on this story, you can just head right over to WFLA.com, the WFLA app. We have more here, details that you can read for yourself. I'll, again, continue to explain what we know here at this hour. We had, of course, our chopper here, Eagle 8 HD, fly over Big Cat Rescue here in Tampa this morning when we first got word that a volunteer had been injured about 8 a.m. this morning. And it was just confirmed by Carole Baskin here in the email that was sent to WFLA News Channel 8. I want to get to the bottom here of this statement because this is very, very important. She writes, the fact that despite our intense safety protocols and excellent record of safety, an injury like this just confirms the inherent danger in dealing with these animals and why we need the Big Cat Public Safety Act to eliminate having them untracked in backyards around the country and ending up in sanctuaries where wonderful people like Candy Cowser have committed themselves to providing care for those discarded by the pay-to-play industry. Carole Baskin, if you watch the Netflix series Tiger King, you know is an advocate for tigers and ensuring that they have a safe place, a safe haven here, and not being, of course, exploited like some other characters, of course, in the Netflix hit series Tiger King. Also want to note here, Candy's husband was called to the scene, and she was conscious and insisted that she did not want Kimba Tiger to come to any harm for the mistake. Kimba has now been placed into quarantine for the next 30 days as a precaution, and Kimba, according to Carole Baskin, was just acting normal due to the presence of food and the opportunity. So this is a series of unfortunate circumstances here, as Carole Baskin describes it. Very curious to see exactly what happens here, but we have, as we understand it right now, a volunteer here in Tampa at Big Cat Rescue who nearly had her arm torn off. Again, volunteers there putting the arm in a tourniquet to prevent hopefully prevent that arm from being lost. If you remember from the Netflix hit documentary series Tiger King, you remember that there was a volunteer who did lose a limb, lose an arm, and then continued to work for Joe Exotic, of course, the primary character there in Tiger King. So dealing with these animals, the inherent danger that comes with it, it's well known, especially after Tiger King became an international phenomenon. But this is a sobering reminder here that we have volunteers that work at Big Cat Rescue every day to care for these animals. Big Cat Rescue, just like many areas and businesses in Florida and across the country, that during the COVID-19 pandemic has had to scale back visitors from entering their property because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But of course, the animals, they're still there. They still need to be fed. They still need to be cared for. And it's volunteers here like Candy and some of the others that have been mentioned here by Carole Baskin in her release to WFLA that are ensuring that these animals are being cared for on a day-to-day basis, despite the fact that we're not having as many visitors. So if you're just joining us here on WFLA Now, JB Buno here with you. We're going to be looking for some comments here momentarily with the hashtag HeyJB. And again, this is Candy Kauser, who just had a terrible morning dealing with one of the tigers here at Big Cat Rescue, nearly having her arm torn off. Now, the latest that we have from officials is that there was a serious injury that coming from first responders here who spoke to WFLA and sent us a release this morning in advance of Carole Baskin sending us a statement. So we knew that there was a very serious injury that took place here this morning at Big Cat Rescue, and now we're getting some more details. Here's to hoping that the arm can be preserved, and hopefully that it's not a debilitating injury for Candy Kauser going forward. Very much worth noting here, and I believe, and I'm trying to remember from the Netflix series, because just like many of you, I watched it earlier on in the year, especially us being here in Tampa Bay. The connection, Big Cat Rescue being not too far away from where we are right now at WFLA News Channel 8. Of course, you know, pretty much everyone here at WFLA watched the series. And I believe I remember from the series that that at Big Cat Rescue, they take the levels of volunteer versus, you know, the entry-level volunteer is very different at Big Cat Rescue than, let's say, a volunteer who's a veteran who's been there with many years of experience. So Carole Baskin noting the Candy here on the right side of your screen has been a volunteer at Big Cat Rescue for 5 years, earning a green level keeper. That green level gives her the ability to, gives her access to tigers and lions there at Big Cat Rescue. And she had been dealing with Kimba for 3 years' time. So clearly a lot of familiarity here between Candy and Kimba. But what was the X factor here, the variable that just didn't, that wasn't consistent with the normal routine for Kimba, was the installation of new cameras here near the caged area where Kimba is normally kept. I'll read this again from Carole Baskin. Kimba had been locked away from that section for several days as cameras were being installed there. Candy opened a guillotine tunnel door at one end of the tunnel, and when she went to raise the second door, she saw it was clipped shut. This is our universal sign not to open the gate without the coordinator coming to assist, but Candy wasn't thinking. She just reached to unclip it, and that's when Kimba saw an opportunity there, looking to be fed, and went and got Candy's arm, nearly ripping it from the shoulder. I can only imagine a gruesome scene here this morning with several volunteers being named here in the release coming over to assist. Terrifying ordeal that took place here this morning. Looking here at some of the Facebook Live comments, let's bring in some of our commenters here if we can. If you're joining us here on WFLA's Facebook page, you can comment along here with us, hashtag HeyJB, if you'd like to point something out. Perhaps you've been to Big Cat Rescue, maybe you're familiar with Kimba. whether you're a family, whether it's been on a field trip. We know so many field trips have been to big cat rescue in years past. Maybe you have familiarity. Maybe you remember Kimba from years past. Maybe you remember dealing with Candy, the volunteer that you see here on your screen. And then, of course, we had Eagle 8 HD flying over the scene earlier this morning. Let us know here in the Facebook Live comment section. We want to hear from you. Hashtag HeyJB is the only way that we bring in comments here on screen. And we'd like to, again, have a conversation here with you regarding the breaking news that we're following this morning out of Big Cat Rescue right here in Tampa. This video also from this morning from right outside the property there, Big Cat Rescue here in Hillsborough County, Florida. So just going to hit a few things here, folks, to bring in your comments again with hashtag HeyJB. All right, let's look for some of the things coming in here. And I think I'm thinking about on a 30-second delay from the comments coming in. Let's bring in Barb Acosta's comment here. Hashtag HeyJB. Kimba is one of 3 tigers rescued from a Guatemalan circus. They are the result of tigers in captivity, which BCR opposes. Yeah, the mission statement for Big Cat Rescue is to ensure that these animals, cats, big cats, tigers, lions, that they're not being exploited, that they're not being kept and tortured in captivity. And that was really a big foundation of what made Tiger King so popular. Of course, the characters in Tiger King, and of course, you know, the one I'm talking about was a reason why I think it took a life of its own, so to speak, when it became the Netflix hit that it was. But the real mission statement here for Big Cat Rescue and some other organizations, of course, here in the United States is to take care of these animals and ensure that they have a safe home where they're not exploited. That is something that is very, very near and dear to Carole Baskin's heart. And if you watch, of course, the series, you know, first and foremost, that she does, and that caring for these animals is very much what they try to do at Big Cat Rescue. And it's not just Carole Baskin. Even here, the 2 that you're looking here, these are volunteers working at Big Cat Rescue. It's a big operation here in Tampa, and they take their jobs very, very seriously, and they do it for the animals. I know that here, and as we're going to bring in some hashtag HeyJB, more hashtag HeyJB comments here, like David Fassel here, hashtag HeyJB. Any word from doctors and hospital on the condition? We haven't gotten that yet, David. We're waiting on an update on Candy's condition. The last that we have is that she was transported to the hospital with serious injuries. I'll read it here. Candy's husband was called, and we, as in Big Cat Rescue, this is from Carole Baskin, left messages for him that she's been taken to St. Joseph's Hospital. Candy was still conscious and insisted that she did not want Kimba to come of any harm for this mistake. Kimba has now been placed in quarantine. They also note here that grief counseling is being made available. These animals are dangerous, but they still need caring for by the volunteers. So worth noting that Carole Baskin is noting here that grief counseling is going to be made available for the volunteers. Remember, it was several volunteers that responded to Candy laying there on the ground with her arm nearly torn off, and they haven't even provide a tourniquet in the situation. That is an image that might stick in your mind for quite a long period of time when you have to deal with these animals on a day-to-day basis. Hey, David, thanks a lot for your comment. Again, bringing in comments here with the hashtag HeyJB as we're live here for a little bit longer. We're dealing with multiple major stories today at WFLA, so I might not be able to stay on stream for all that much longer, keeping an eye here on a couple of other stories that we have going on here at the moment here, folks. But we'll try to take some more comments here on Facebook Live. Again, the only ones we can bring on here are with hashtag HeyJB. Let's get to some more that are coming in here. So let's bring in this comment, and I want to get to as many opinions here as possible. Olivia Anderson Curry, hashtag HeyJB. This whole story is so sad and really hard to believe. But the problem is she doesn't give them enough room to move around or make them feel like they are free. She keeps them a way to lock them up. This is why animals turn on people. This is a popular opinion online that animals should be in the wild and not in captivity. This is a topic that we could delve into with experts on a separate stream, and really we could probably talk about it for half an hour to an hour at least, and talk about the animals that are here at Big Cat Rescue. Some of these cages are, in experts' opinion, on the smaller side, and they don't have what they would naturally have based on their instincts, the ability to roam freely. So, Olivia, I appreciate your comment here, and let us know here in the Facebook Live comment section if you agree with Olivia. But I have seen this comment quite a bit here on Facebook Live. And then, hey, looking for some more hashtag AJB comments here. And yeah, Olivia is the most recent comment that I'm seeing here as well. Do you think she will live from this? Sending prayers. She is conscious, and we're hearing that that we believe at this time that this is not an injury where she is in critical condition, a severe injury to the arm, with the arm nearly being ripped from the shoulder. But we have not been provided any information that leads us to believe that she is critical and in danger of losing her life. Of course, a severe injury and likely a very, very tense situation right now at St. Joseph's Hospital. But we have not been given any information that Candy Cowser, the 5-year veteran of Big Cat Rescue, is in critical condition at this time. Olivia, thanks for both of your comments. Again, maybe another couple of more minutes here. Check one thing here. I see some comments here about the Big Cat Safety Act. I have to check on that. Because I don't have anything in my records. Oh no, actually, I have it here. According to, let's get to this comment here. From Melissa Coffey. Hashtag AJB, and I just had to check this real quick. The Big Cat Safety Act is up for vote today, according to Melissa, who's been throwing this here in the Facebook Live comment section. And I want to cite onegreenplanet.org here that the Big Cat Public Safety Act is to be voted on today. I'm going to read this here from full courtesy over to onegreenplanet.org. The House is set to vote this Thursday, December 3rd, on a bill that would outlaw the possession of tigers, jaguars, cheetahs, lions, and other big cats as pets. If approved, the Big Cat Public Safety Act would also restrict the trading and breeding of big cats for use in roadside zoos, petting zoos, or for paid photo ops. Very interesting. Very interesting that we have that being voted on here today in the House. I'll have to look and get a little bit more details as to when the logistics of that vote. But hey, Melissa, thanks a lot for pointing that out. I was not aware that vote was today. So really appreciate it. We have some eagle-eyed commenters here in the Facebook Live comment section on WFLA. Really appreciate your comment. For those of you just joining us, JB Buno here with you live on WFLA Now. Yeah, let's get back to the photos here. This is Candy Cowser, 5-year veteran of Big Cat Rescue. Had her arm nearly torn off this morning by Kimba tiger, not pictured here. Kimba, a tiger that was kind of out of its element because of cameras being installed here at Big Cat Rescue. Candy having doing something out of her norm, according to Carole Baskin, reaching her arm in based on an irregularity with a guillotine tunnel door, and Kimba saw an opportunity, as Carole Baskin puts it, and went for the food and got Carole's arm here. Or excuse me, not Carole's arm, Candy's arm. The arm nearly ripped off completely, torn at the shoulder. Really a terrible, terrible set of circumstances. And of course, we're hoping and praying for Candy Cowser, and hopefully that she is able to make a full recovery. Again, so many volunteers who devote countless hours to preserving and taking care of these animals here at Big Cat Rescue right here in Tampa Bay. They really are the heroes of that reserve, and Candy, one of many that commit their time, that devote their time to helping out these animals. Again, a couple more comments that we'll get to here with hashtag AJB. I think I just missed a bunch. Let's get to Misty Whitelaw's comment here, hashtag HeyJB. I think that they're doing a great job out there. I pray this volunteer makes a full recovery with any large animals. Unfortunately, accidents like this happen. Thankfully not. Yeah, Misty, this is a reality of dealing with these animals in feeding them in captivity. Again, we referenced this earlier. One of the images that sticks in your mind from watching Tiger King, and I'm sure many of you here in the Facebook Live comment section and here on our WFLA app, WFLA.com, remember from Tiger King when the interview is conducted with the volunteer. The name escapes me, and maybe our commenters here can help us out. The name escapes me of the volunteer for Joe Exotic who lost a limb. Just an incident, a feeding incident that just took a horrible turn, leading to the loss of a limb. And it brings gravity to the situation when you understand, I mean, the size, the primitive instincts of these animals. And, you know, there's a lot of opinions out there as to cats in big cats in captivity. And I'm very curious to see, you know, what happens here with this Big Cat Public Safety Act being voted on by the House today. And again, a big thanks to Melissa for pointing that out. I'm especially curious just to see exactly, you know, what unfolds today and whether or not the House passed that. Cody, I don't know the answer to that. If the lion's been tested for rabies, I don't know the answer to that. Ashley Light here in the Facebook Live comment section, hashtag HeyJB. What's going to happen to the tiger? Let's get to that, because I know a lot of you want to know. I mean, as much as the primary concern here is on Candy and ensuring that Candy makes a full recovery. And again, all of us here at WFLA are hoping that Candy makes a full recovery. Ashley here is asking what's happening to the tiger, what's happening to Kimba. Candy, while conscious, suffering from the injury, insisted that she, according to Carole Baskin, did not want any harm to come of Kimba, and that Kimba is now being placed into quarantine for the next 30 days as a precaution. But Carole Baskin says was just acting normal due to the presence of food and the opportunity. So it remains to be seen what happens to Kimba. And I'm sure that they will review the incident thoroughly at Big Cat Rescue. But as of right now, a quarantine situation in effect at Big Cat Rescue. Appreciate the comment there, Ashley. And again, I'm just waiting on a cue for we will have to hop off of WFLA Now here momentarily here, folks. Again, we're monitoring several big stories going on at this hour on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. Yeah, so Teresa Fredenberg here, hashtag HeyJB. All the people working with the cats love what they do. They are still wild, or these are still wild. She made a mistake, and the cat got her, not the cat's fault. This is a sentiment here from Teresa that has been echoed by Carole Baskin and what she released to WFLA, saying that this was something that was out of the norm of routine. And I think if you watch Tiger King, you understand that that there has to be a routine for these animals to understand what is within the realm of safety and what is not acceptable behavior. And when you veer outside of that lane of what is routine behavior, then it becomes unpredictable as to what could happen next. And of course, with the cameras being installed here at Big Cat Rescue, that was the variable here that was different with Kimba. And of course, the guillotine door that we referenced earlier. An unfortunate mistake, and one, again, that brings gravity to how dangerous these cats are. Beautiful, beautiful animals, and they have such fanfare, which is one of the reasons why people love lions, people love tigers, people love big cats, and that was one of the reasons why there was such a fascination around Tiger King. But they are dangerous creatures. They are extremely dangerous, and the volunteers, of course, here at Big Cat Rescue and other volunteers that deal with animals like big cats across the country, they of course know the risks associated with what they do. And I think that's gonna wrap it up here for us, everybody, on WFLA Now. If you have any more questions, we might be doing additional live streams depending on whether or not we get more information here and how the information unfolds here in the next several hours. We have the very latest for you on WFLA.com and the WFLA app, including the very latest from Carole Baskin, sending a release to WFLA, letting us know exactly what unfolded again, from Carole Baskin at Big Cat Rescue, what unfolded this morning at Big Cat Rescue in Tampa, right here in Tampa, Florida. If you want the very latest on this story, we will be regularly updating the article on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. It'll be on our homepage throughout the day with updates as they become available. For those of you joining us here in Tampa Bay, our newscast begins at 4 o'clock, 4, 5, 6 o'clock newscast here on WFLA News, Channel 8, 8 on your side, your NBC station right here in Tampa Bay. We'll, of course, have coverage there as well as to the latest on what unfolded this morning at Big Cat Rescue. And again, one more time, just really hoping that Candy Cowser makes a full recovery. Really thinking about her at this hour and hoping that that she's able to continue doing what she loves to do if she chooses to do so. JB Buno here with you live in the WFLA Now Stream Center, monitoring a lot of stories. We'll be back, everybody, on WFLA Now with more as the day progresses right here in Tampa Bay.